Alright, hello and welcome to the Sage of Tarn Alpha version 0.39, delayed August, early September 2019. So, following up on last time, the bug where the feet would move independently based on the chunk piece that you are on is now fixed as predicted in the previous version. After making anchors correct, his feet now don't swivel up and down nearly as violently as they did before. The only thing, in fact, that you see now is just the visuals not being entirely on point. So he is on the ground. I can firmly move without any wonky issues, which is quite nice. In addition to this, anchors have been implemented for every single platform in the game, whether it's moving or otherwise, which allows every platform to be moving or otherwise, which is quite practical. I can essentially take a very big chunk and move it around. In addition to this, now not to confuse you too much, I've called something chunk generation in a sense. It is when an anchor makes, let's say, an object like the one I'm standing on here. In this particular object there are 6 pieces, and when you make that, you have a choice to make, which is basically, do you want to make a lot of standards for each piece? So like this slopey line here, or the slopey line going in a mirrored fashion, or the upside down version that is on the bottom. And I was about to begin making all of those when I sort of realized that I'm gonna need at least 84 versions for just the lines. So I went ahead during this month and I now have the automatic generation of these chunks. What this effectively means is that the chunk that I'm standing on here has been automatically generated by the anchor without me doing anything more than saying I want 6 in this particular configuration. So that's kind of cool because it allows me to randomize the entire level. And the way that works is basically by doing this. Let me just restart it quick. Now we have the same chunk with a different look. It shows a curve up here and lines on the sides. Let's do it again. Underlying curve and 4 lines again. The randomization can be improved, obviously. You can tweak it to be less spiky too and all that sort of jazz. I'm thinking to implement versions to control the randomization more. This is fully random at the current moment, which is causing some issues with curves. I need to limit them a little bit. See if we can get a funny looking one. But yeah, various sizes, various shapes, which is quite nice. Now the cool thing about this, excuse me for a moment. The cool thing about this is that this particular generation, because we have implemented the anchors for every object, I can now apply this to the entire level. So let me show you the old version of the top side of the area right below me. So when you get to the surface on top of the mine, you come up from the pit mine on this side, there's a small hill here, and then there's just a straight ass line because I was lazy when I implemented it and I didn't want to add detail to all of this because it was super clunky. And then it leads all the way down into the entrance of the big mine shaft. Now let's look at the exact same version in the correct position, starting from here, going all the way over to the opposite end again. A little random hill there, a little bob there too, random spike, and I think here comes the upper version. And it goes down again until we are on the opposite side. Let's do another one. Now if I bug here, please forgive me, I will have to restart because some of the curves are not aligned properly and can cause issues. Oh, there's one as an example. See, the curve is kind of sort of cut on the top. They stick out a little bit. They're not supposed to do that. I'll try to avoid as many of them as I can see. Now, I haven't implemented this for the entire level yet, but about 75% the complex level in the beginning of the area is still the old version, and I'm gonna clean that out. I just didn't have time before this. So let's just jump down the mine shaft, and if you remember, the super straight lines are now kind of, randomized edges as whatever they want to be. which makes it a little more interesting. It also means that, of course, you can... it will never be the same every time you play the game, which is a good thing always. It brings some variety to the PvE, at least. Oh, there's another one. I need to fix the curve issue and calculate precisely where... like, ensure that the curves stay inside their boundary so they don't make fuck-ups, because they can do it quite a lot in various places. Ooh, I was almost afraid that was one. See, that one up there as an example. Oh, let me just refix. It can cause some issues when you run into those. Alright, let's see, what else do we have? I have made, obviously, as shown, a very simple restart option. There we go. Which allows me to just restart the game quite quick. This is primarily just to check the randomization, but it's a thing and it's useful, and it's nice to see that the randomization of the entire level takes no more than like a second to do, so it's fairly efficient, which, you know, I kind of like that. Let's see, additionally to that, simply by having this implemented, it's a lot easier to implement big chunks like, for the level design. Placing them, like replacing most of it, I've just done in like one day, and we're talking like more than 800 of those chunks. It's quite a bit. Not 800 of the chunks, but 800 pieces in each chunk. I've reset the player slightly, adjusted him a little bit so he has more proportion and it's not like a tiny ball, but more of a man at this point. I still need to adjust him a little bit. I have adjusted all the movement types so that they now fit with anchors. This is basically to ensure that you... oh, I missed it, damn it. The flying butt. It's basically to ensure that you follow it around when you're on it. This is primarily it. We do have, of course, the random bug. Or not random, but the bug that occurs when you have a curve that is not placed correctly. I need to fix that as the first thing. Then I do have one mystery bug, which I don't know what it is, but sometimes the player just disappears. I'm pretty sure it's because it gets moved outside the load range. We sort of get the camera stuck where we are now, and then the player is just gone. You can't move and you can't restart, which means the player is dead, but the camera is still there, and it's a bit weird, and I need to investigate it more. One thing that we still have left is the... Let's see if I can... Ah, damn it. I actually need to fucking do this correctly. Oh, there we go. The visual bug for... As you can see, it makes the lines, right? The lines between each piece. This is a visual glitch. Technically, there is no space between them now. So this has to be like the camera doing something or the resolution of the window doing something. And otherwise than that, that's pretty much it for this time. A big chunk, so to speak. Randomized area with all the detail that we have before, which is very nice. Makes it quite much more interesting to play through, even though there still isn't too much in it. But yeah. So thank you for watching, and hope you will watch next time as well.